Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sat Sangat Ji, my name is Karamjit Singh Thind from the Kalgita Trust, UK. We've been doing this program on Educate to Save for a number of weeks now. With your company, we have made some progress in terms of paying for the fees, the sponsorship of some children from the land of Punjab, from some very poor and downtrodden backgrounds. Education is the empowerment of an individual. Education indeed teaches you how to fish. Doesn't give you fish, but teaches you how to fish. It prepares you for life. The Akal Academy schools simply offer value-based education with all the academic syllabus that any ordinary school offers in the country. The quality is at par with the UK private schools. Our teachers are trained with a program which is aligned with Cambridge University. We speak about quality in education. This is the message simply given to us by the founding fathers. Right from Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji in 1800, born midst the British Empire, at the peak of the British Empire. As they say, the sun never set in the British Empire. As he grew up, he joined the British Army or the Indian Army at that time, but quickly realized how the colonial masters were ruling the world through education, but with the absence of value-based education. He set up the first all-girls school in Benares. He laid the foundation stone for the Benares University. Later in life, he sent his disciple Sant Baba Atar Singh to Harvard, to Cambridge, and other parts of the world to travel and see how the world was functioning. And in the end, it was very clear that a lot of the global education was lacking with value-based education. So the very foundation of Akal Academies is aligning Western education with our own heritage of value-based education. The story of Punjab is indeed very dire. Today, the quality of education is very, very weak. As I mentioned last week, only about 6% of the schools in Punjab meets the national average. And the founding fathers like Sant Baba Iqbal Singh Ji came up with this unique visionary idea of setting up schools in villages. Nobody sets up schools in villages, but Punjab lives in villages. Out of the 129 schools, our 128 schools are all based in villages. It's the empowerment of these children from very poor background who have been given the same democratic right of education. They have been through the process of schooling, and today some of them are at NASA, at Google, at Morgan Stanley, and very other formidable global names. Sat Sangat Ji, our appeal to you is join us on this journey to help educate the poor and weak. We are a minority, and as Babaji says, minority can only function with quality, must have quality on board. And education is the solution, is the answer to give us that quality. Sangat ji, in today's program, I've got a wonderful guest list with me, both professionals and students. And you can see from their assessment, from their reaction, that they are involved in educating the very poor and weak. They're sensitive about it. And I think today's program will highlight their sensitivities. On my left is Zahara Al-Madawi. Can you please introduce yourself, Zahra?
Hi, I'm Zahra Al-Madawi. I study maths, further maths and economics at Greenford High School, and I am 16 years old, and I am a volunteer in the KT Trust.
Yeah. Ashmeet?
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm Ashmeet Singh. I'm 17. I'm studying maths, further maths, physics and chemistry at Greenford High School as well.
Thank you. On my far right is my colleague Gurtyan Singh. I must say his name correctly, Gutara.
Gotra.
Am I right?
Gurtyan Singh Gotra. I'll introduce myself.
Okay, thank you very much. Gurtyan has been with us for the past well over 10 years. He is an international tax consultant, works for an American multinational. Gurtyan, very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I may start with you, actually, because you have a long association with our previous organization, the World Sikh Heritage Trust. And for the last 6 years now, we are with the Kalgita Trust. You were amongst one of our first colleagues to sponsor, if I'm not mistaken, about 6 children. And this is almost 5 or 6 years ago. What inspired you?
Well, I mean, education's always been very key. It's been it's the foundation of any person. And I think you made a couple of very good sort of statements in your opening about sort of teaching someone to fish as opposed to just providing them with a short-term sort of means.
Yeah.
And I think when I sort of look back in our sort of, because I am quite fortunate, I do go back to India quite often. We go back maybe twice a year. And we've maintained, our family has certainly maintained those links, although my father's been here, came to this country in the 50s. So whereas there are many families that have lost those links as well. So maintaining those links and seeing what's really going on. And you see now that where the prosperity is going to come from, and it's going to be through education. As you mentioned, these are villages. And the only way, I mean, we've had a situation where, sort of in the past, as families have moved on generation after generation, the only way to sustain, for a family to sustain from the same piece of land is really through education, and not just simply by carving out what they already have.
It's getting smaller and smaller.
Well, absolutely, it gets smaller, and it's not a sustainable way of life. So to do that, what do? You need to get these kids, and you need to give them something else. And I think it's got to be education. So for me, the best impact you could make on certain families is really just to educate the children. And that was very, very important.
And how many brothers and sisters you have, siblings? They all go back to
well, me and my brother for sure. We go back. My sisters do live in India. They live in Punjab and 2 in Uttar Pradesh, UP. So we've maintained that links, which is, and I'd like to see more of that happening. And it should be something
And as far as the Kal Academies are concerned, Kalgita Trust is concerned, I know you are not in Punjab, you are in UP. There is pockets of large Sikh populations there because I think they shifted the agriculture professions from Punjab to UP. The composition of these schools in terms of ethnic background, are they all Sikhs, or is there a mixture of Sikh students
there's basically, I think, in our local area, there's 2 main Sikh schools, and there's the Ishar Academy, and there's the Baru Sahib Kal Academy. And they're both sort of within 10 kilometers from where we live. And that is known as a mini Punjab in UP. That's where, since after 1947, the partition, a lot of the Sikhs actually migrated into that area. And the actual schools themselves, they are absolutely open to anyone that wants to attend.
Yeah.
Now, I do remember before these schools, because these schools have been around for something like 15 years. Before then, the quality of the education locally was relatively poor in terms of what you saw and the stuff that was coming out. Now we've had sort of 15 years. You've seen kids have gone right through the system, and you're seeing the level of engagement, the quality of the children that are coming out. There's been a marked improvement in that local area.
It's interesting, actually. I was not going to pose this question today, but I think you brought a very important point here, that the impact these schools has had on the education of an area and on other schools, where other schools have also raised their benchmark.
Absolutely.
Purely either in envy or as a role model. Is that correct? I mean, that is happening, that even the other schools are now raising.
No, the level of education has gone up for sure. And it's really interesting to see the impact it's had on the local area. I mean, we all see all the problems that we've got in Punjab in terms of, what the kids are going through.
Drugs.
A lot of that stuff is absent. Now absent thanks to the education, the value-based education that these schools are providing. So I think it's having a real positive impact, and that's really in a micro sort of community area. You can actually see the evidence.
Ashmeet, now this is interesting. This is first-hand knowledge, what Gurtan Singh has just mentioned.
Yeah.
That it's an area, Punjabis are living there, away from Punjab. But the transformation that's taking place there. I mean, this is something you mentioned, that doesn't matter where the child comes from, who the child is. It's actually, we must find sponsors to give these children that opportunity which they are denied by the state schools.
Yeah, of course.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
I think it goes back down to the fact that it's value-based education. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you have value-based education, it makes you a better person in general. You can come from a really rundown area and have an education, or you can come from a really rundown area and have a good value-based education. It doesn't matter where you're from. Those values are applicable everywhere, in every society, in any form of person anywhere. So I think the fact that they give value-based education is the crucial part. It doesn't really matter where the kids are from, what their struggles are, where they've gone through. As long as they have the education and value-based education, we can help carve and create a new society, away from drugs, away from violence, away from all these problems in modern society. So I think it's an amazing thing to offer education to people of a range of backgrounds. Yeah.
So this is the sort of values that inspire you to sort of come onto Kalgita Trust and say, hey, I want to be engaged in this voluntary service, encouraging Sangat, the community, to be in partnership with Kalgita Trust to help these deprived children.
Yeah.
As somebody rightly said, they have education, but they're not employable. Yeah, but because it's such poor quality education, they're not employable. Either with a vocational education or something like that. So we appreciate youngsters in your age category coming onto board to support us, and it's really appreciated.
And I think it's actually quite it's an understandable thing to say when people say they're employable. Even when we put our kids into school or we put our siblings into school, we think about schools in different area, what the type of educations are, if the area is good, if the quality of education is decent. But I think the good thing is that with Kalgita Trust, like I said, the teachers, they're trained in par with standards of Cambridge universities. It just goes to show that we're not just investing in education for the sake of it, but giving these children the best opportunity needed, the best opportunity available really, giving them the best shot at life.
Thank you. No, I think that's a wonderful comment. Thank you very much. Sarah, the next question is for you. I think you're inspirational for all of us today. Looking at your background, where you come from, you are born in the UK, you are from Iraq, your parents are from Iraq, they come from a fairly mixed, diverse background. what really inspired you to come on to Calcutta Trust? As far as I know, you are engaged on the Khalsa Cup, where we're trying to raise funds again for the same cause, but not through appeals on television, but actually hosting almost a one-day tournament for 40 teams. What inspired you to sort of to start off with, to come on board, to say, hey, I want to support this cause?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, when Ashmeet told me about this charity event, all I knew was I was helping children and I was volunteering for children in education, and considering education is something that I value a lot, because most of us do take that for granted. The fact that we have it right there in front of us, we don't really like put in effort, and then knowing like there's children out there who don't really get the best kind of education, I feel like that was enough for me to just say yes.
But there must be something which I'm sure the situation in Iraq today is perhaps, in terms of children's education, is probably no different from parts of Punjab, where there must be a lot of children who are deprived. They're growing. They're probably 10, 15 years of age and had hardly any education. That's the sort of thing that also would have said, hey, let me see what I can do. Doesn't matter what society it is, empower other children. Yeah,
obviously, as a Muslim, Islam doesn't teach me to like discriminate against any other religion. It's more of like empowering a human and making sure that they get the best kind of education. It doesn't really matter what kind of where they come from or what religion.
Really salutation to you and to your parents, really, to bring you up with this is value-based education. That is good value-based education. Sadh Sangat ji, it makes me emotional. I don't know about you, but this is what Sikhi is all about. Guru Nanak speak about the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, the oneness of all humanity. This is the values that we want to embed into our children, into the future of humanity. And this is the vision of Baba Iqbal Singh Ji. And as far as children in villages are concerned, just sending them to a process of schooling is what I used to call in management terms was motion should not be confused with action. This is just motion. 10 years of education and you come out unemployable, or you can't even reach, or qualify to be admitted to institution of higher learning. It is your support which we are pleading for today. Sadh Sangat ji, do give us your support. Go to www.educatetosave.com and pick a child, perhaps even from the area where you come from. Gurtan Singh ji, the question earlier was, you see, when you sponsored those 6 kids, that was before many of us went down that path. What was in your mind, actually, that, I know you picked kids from your area, which is wonderful, because I know we'll talk about, because you go and visit the school, you got a very good dialogue going on with the teachers there, and you monitor their progress. But what really inspired you to start off with?
I think also, when you know the child as well, it's just not a name, but you get to know them, and you want to sort of see some progress as well. And I think particularly, you got the website, you've got the location of where the child lives. And I think if you do sort of sponsor a child in your area, wherever you happen to visit in Punjab, for example, I think in terms of what you will get out of it, that contact and the change in not just one life, but the whole family's life will be enormous. And it's having that at the back of your mind that should inspire people to go and do this.
As somebody rightly said, 128 schools in villages. You may see that some of them, even their walls are not plastered from outside. But don't forget, the institution inside has a full quality framework of education delivery. It is there. It is smart boards. They have got labs, both language labs, mathematics, the different sciences, chemistry, biology, physics, they're all taught there. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, Akal Academy placed the biggest order in the country for 1,500 smart boards. Yeah. So that's the quality, because they are thriving towards, aspiring towards an era of learning which is going to be paperless, bookless. It's all your iPads and on computers. They're already looking at that and unifying the education system. It's not just bragging about that, but it's actually giving that opportunity to that poor child. The democratic right of that child.
Well, I mean, don't forget if you look at the job market, what it was 35 years ago, I remember when you graduated, the type of jobs that were on offer. If you wrote forward now to 35 years later, the type of jobs that are offered now, there's probably 50% of the jobs didn't exist 35 years ago. Now, the pace of change you're going to see in the next 20 years is going to be even greater.
Of course.
So there are a lot of jobs out there that people will do, semi-skilled jobs, labor jobs, and whatever. And you see with the robotics coming on force, these children need to be educated. Otherwise, they will become useless to society, which is an unfortunate thing. That's the nature and the way the industry and the IT technology industry is heading, is that these kids need to be, I mean, you're talking about the way we're actually educating in terms of the appliances and the boards and the computer technology that we have. These kids, if you leave them behind, you don't give them that level of education, then there's going to be, in terms of the future would look bleak for them.
And I think coupled with the resources, it's amazing that these kids actually want to learn. I think like Zara was saying earlier on, that nowadays education is something that we take it for granted. We have education there, we just exploit it, we just go through school as a journey and leave it at that. But I think these kids are so desperate for education, they want to grasp every opportunity. With these resources, with these smart boards and all these resources, I think it impacts them the most because they want to make the most of it. And in turn,
you say they want to make the best of it. They have dreams just like anybody else.
Of course. Yeah. And I think it's often overlooked, the fact that if they come from poor backgrounds, we often dismiss their thoughts. We need to be more proactive in thinking that everyone's equal, everyone has dreams, everyone should get the opportunity, rather than the fact that these people live in slums or they're homeless. We shouldn't really mingle with them a bit too much. We shouldn't really give them the opportunity. I think the more we empower them, the more we make the world a better place, so there are less people like them in the situation in the future.
So you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I feel like everyone deserves like a good education. Like it's not fair on them, to be honest. So,
at Akal Academies and the founding fathers, and right from the inception of the Sikh philosophy, was purely a revolt against wider society on the status of women. Women are given a very high status in the Sikh ideology. It says, because generally women were regarded as low, that's why even the ratio of a girl to a boy in India, North India, is very weak. You got 1,000 boys for 700 girls only, because they've been virtually, the pregnancies has been terminated once they know that. And the whole thing, what the founding fathers say is that you educate a boy, you educate a man. You educate a girl, you educate a whole family, a whole generation. You want to transform the world, you want to change humanity, educate a girl. And to reinforce this, it was only about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, it was in the Financial Times, a newspaper read by presidents, leaders, corporate leaders, say that it's important to educate girls because they bring huge economic benefits to entire societies. That is from a Western perspective, but the Sikh perspective is again much deeper, that you want to change society, you want to transform humanity, then the girl child need to be very well educated. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's like I really like that mentality because everyone deserves it. Like
yeah, I mean we know that especially in India, the girls are being left behind, and that is very hurtful. All the 5 kids that we have selected, they're all girls, because we feel that's the future. We are not as fortunate as Gurthan Singh because his heritage is from India. My family has been out of India for 110 years, yeah, and I've been here for the last 45 years. But we still picked child from areas which is our heritage, because you really want to empower the girl child. And it is fascinating that today, even in this country, you got increasingly the girl child is doing better and better, and they are at university, I think they're at par, if I'm not mistaken. Gurthan, you want to add something to this?
Well, what you've just said sort of speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. You educate a girl, it goes a lot further, because it's the mother that's in contact with her sort of children, and if she's educated, then you can imagine the wisdom that sort of gets passed down, versus the father who may be sort of absent on a more regular basis from the family, right? So that clearly is very important. And it's really living the philosophy. It's living Sikhi at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Empowering women, and it's very important. There should be no distinction in my mind. Even between boys and girls, you should be treated absolutely equally. So you give them equal opportunity. I mean, girls in this country in particular are doing well. They're actually beating the boys, right? At A levels, I think at university even. And they're certainly taking over some of the professions. And it's interesting that now, even in the workplace, you've got these WIN networks, which is women in network sort of type organizations, within organizations, just to make sure that you get away and you have a conscious bias almost towards them, right? As to break some of the historical barriers that you had. So that's happening now, and this is something that Guru Nanak Dev Ji said 500 years ago, that we need to empower them. So the world is sort of, if you like, are on par now. So now you've got a great opportunity to make it happen practically.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm blessed in a way because my first boss was a woman, and she was a unique visionary, a great leader, a lot of tolerance, a lot of patience. I'm talking about 76, 77. And that was just wonderful. 2 male bosses, nothing to write home about. But the third one, the last one, I won't mention the name, but I'll mention, we all know Dallas, the movie, a key name in there. That's her name. And honestly, she was a unique leader. In that that was the healthcare sector. She's a leader in that sector, and one learned a lot. I think they can multitask, they can manage much better, and that's why that emphasis of win and all that. I think it's a win-win situation, and Baba Nanak could see it when he said, "Why do you call them low when they give birth to kings and queens and warriors and everything else? How can they be low?" Yeah. So the status of women is very, very high. And there are a lot of girl children or girl child at Akal academies, Sad Sangat Ji, who you can help with. That will change the total culture of Punjab, where we must look up to the education of the girl child. Smith, you want to add something as far as how in families today, is there any sort of prejudice where they spend more towards the boy child and less towards the girl?
Personally, I'm quite blessed. My parents, I've got an older sister, and I think she's more or less favoritized, and I'm happy with that more or less. But I think in our society still, you can still see discrimination between the genders. Specifically in Punjab, like you said, there's still that issue with Kurimar, where people are terminating their pregnancies if they find out they're having a girl. it's just that really bad mentality that males are better than females, which is completely wrong in a way. There was this quote I was reading the other day on an article, and where someone was saying, you're quite stupid if you think that females are equal to men. In fact, they're better. In fact, they're better. And I think it's important to touch home on that and let everyone know that the future is with females. It's been a long time in the past where we've just empowered men, pushed men to do everything, and the females have been left behind. But we see that historically, the women shine the most where we need them. In the world wars, when the males went out to war, it was the females that held up the country. They went out in the factories, they worked, they basically held the country. We are where we are because of women in World War. Back in Punjab, in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji sent out 52 female prachariks, not male prachariks, but 52 female ones, purely being because they get a wider range of audiences. They can speak to people in a much more loving, motherly, caring way.
These are like missionaries. Pracharak means, getting the message across.
Like preachers.
Preachers.
And so it's important to realize that females should be given the opportunity equal to men. And I think me and Zara were speaking about at school as well, about even if you see in school, the most empowering people that we find are teachers, most of them are females. And it's important to see that if you think back to a teacher, the first thing that comes to mind is a female. You think of a female teacher rather than a male teacher. And I think it just goes to show that if you want to bring change, if you want to educate society, it's crucial to do it through women equally as you do it through males as well. So educating a female helps break through that mentality that males can rule the world, but actually it's actually the females that support. And I think even the quote that behind every successful man is a woman. Yeah. But now what we find is that the women are the successes and the males are supporting. And it's great, really.
I like that. So, on the Khalsa Cup, which is going to be all about football, what are you looking forward to? Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Other than the fact, most likely my teachers will be playing, probably like a girls team. I feel like that would be pretty cool to see and hopefully win against the guys.
Gurtan, question for you. Often, whatever it is, whether out of envy or out of jealousy or any other reason, we always say the Jewish community is very organized, very well educated. Yes, there's no doubt about that. Their success in terms of businesses and all that. What brings that success as far as your experience is concerned or your knowledge is concerned? Honestly, whether one likes it or not, a desert has been transformed in terms of R&D, in terms of economy.
Basically down to education. They are so well educated, educated at the top level. If you look at some of the proportion of, I don't know what the stats are exactly, but if you look at the Nobel Prize winners, there are so many that come from that community, and that's great. Good luck to them, because you get that by sheer hard work, right? There is no sort of easy solution. You don't just pick up a Nobel Prize overnight. But the point here is they have got great structures behind them, and it's about having the right structure, the right sort of leadership to educate. And really, it's educate, not necessarily to conquer, but to empower. Your first opening line was very interesting in terms of the British rule, the colonization of the world, how they actually used education to conquer. We don't want to use education to conquer, because that's old, and it hasn't particularly delivered any significant benefits. You want educate to empower. And when you empower people, you empower for their lives and their communities and their societies that they live in. To your question, education has been the key driver in terms of their success. Why? Because of they do have rigid structures, and those structures are followed in terms of how they, their families and communities sort of work. And perhaps in ours, those rigid structures are not necessarily there.
Sure. I think we'll definitely touch further on this. Just had a call from the producer. We're just about to show a success story, Sangat ji, on a young man who's made a great success, named Bhupinder Singh. Let's see his story of success and Akal Academy's success.
ਇਹ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਭੁਪਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ, ਜਿਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਭਰਿਆਲ ਲਹਿਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ। ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ 'ਚ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਨਿਆਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ-ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਅਤੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਵਿਰਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ 'ਚ ਅਵਲ ਦਰਜੇ ਦਾ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਰੁਝਾਨ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ-ਨਾਲ ਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਨ ਵੱਲ ਵੀ ਪੱਕਾ ਸੀ। ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਵਾਤਾਵਰਣ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਪੱਤਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਰੀਤੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਰੱਖਦਿਆਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਰਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜੀ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਅਤੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਇਆ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੁਲੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰਨ। ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਸੀ ਭੁਪਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਵੀ ਬੁਲੰਦੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇਗਾ। ਐਨਸੀਸੀ 'ਚ ਭਰਤੀ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਨਵੰਬਰ 2015 ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕੋ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਕੈਡਿਟ ਜੋ ਭਾਰਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਿੰਗਾਪੁਰ ਗਿਆ। ਮਾਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਪੁਰਾਤਨ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਵਾਂਗ ਜੋਸ਼ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦਿਆਂ ਉਸਨੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਗੱਤਕਾ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨੀ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ। ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੈਡਿਟਸ ਆਏ ਸੀ, ਉੱਥੇ ਭੁਪਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ 'ਚ ਕੀਤਾ। ਗਣਤੰਤਰ ਦਿਵਸ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਐਨਸੀਸੀ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟੋਰੇਟ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਨੇ ਫਤਿਹ ਹਾਸਿਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਨਿਵਾਜਿਆ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ।
ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਦੀ ਬਦੌਲਤ ਹਾਂ। ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਅਕੈਡਮੀਆਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਹਨ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਨਿਆਵਕ ਵਿਦਿਆ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਖ ਵਿਰਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਵਿਰਸੇ ਤੇ। ਮੈਂ ਲੱਖ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ ਹਾਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਦਾ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਦਲਾਵ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਐਸਾ ਬਦਲਾਵ ਜੋ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਵੱਲ ਮੁੱਖ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ।
Sangat ji, welcome back. It is indeed a touchy story. This is transition. This is transformation of a child, if left unattended, unsponsored, probably could have been doing anything in the village, could have been onto drugs. Almost 70% of the children are hooked to drugs in Punjab. This is the transition that Akal Academies are proud of. Sarah, any comments on that video?
Well, as you can see in the video, it's pretty amazing to see where they start off to where they are right now. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I feel great that the fact that I'm working with the Khalsa Cup, and my job is I'm a corporate ambassador, meaning I do call up businesses hoping they'd sponsor us. So it's good to know that businesses can help and sponsor these children.
I think you guys are gathering this next Saturday to plan the coordination of the corporate targets. Sangat ji, any of you running small to medium-sized businesses, you will get a call from Zara to sponsor some children. Part of your corporate social responsibility goes a long way. Thank you. Ashmeet, anything to add to that?
I think just to add, you see in the video the need for education and where these people start off without education and where education gets them to. It really hits home the fact that a couple of years of quality education, value-based education, can make such a difference in someone's life. And I think, like Zara said, we feel quite proud to work towards this initiative, to raise money to help support these children in these backgrounds, to get them where they deserve to be, where they need to be, where they should be.
Yeah, the beauty actually with Khalsa Cup is that it's empowerment of whole society, our local catchment area here. We are bringing schools on board. They are learning about this initiative. We are talking to corporates, businesses, local football clubs and all that. There's some pretty marvelous initiatives that are being taken, but it's also personal development. We are developing ourselves in this process. during my days, advisory days to University of London, we used to say, what you learn is by doing. Action learning.
Yeah.
This is action learning.
Cool.
Khalsa Cup is action learning, is the development of a whole group of people. You feel you're giving something, but you're also receiving something back. Life is all about giving and taking.
Yeah.
We all dependent on each other. We all children of one father. Sorry, you were going to say something.
And I think above that, it's the fact that we all feel the need and passion to help out. In our team, it's all volunteers. Most of them are between 15 and 20 years of age. So we're all studying, we're all really young, and we're still working towards an initiative. We're not getting paid for this. Only thing we're getting out is the satisfaction that we're helping someone with education. It's the fact that we're satisfying ourselves in realizing the fact that we're helping someone, and always realizing the fact that there's people outside that need this help, and these people are being given that help. It's that self-thought and self-reflection that helps.
You also get to like see the progress that happens.
Yeah.
So I feel like that really like touches you personally.
It's motivational, isn't
Yeah,
it? It
100%,
motivates
yeah.
you. But then I want to get back to that subject we were touching earlier. You said we lack discipline. We perhaps even lack institutions. After the Holocaust, the Jewish very quickly set up called the Jewish Educational Fund. I don't know. I'm not aware of a very large Sikh education fund where the partnerships and alliances, different NGOs or within the community are coming together and saying, hey, let's educate this community. It is a minority. Minority cannot survive without quality. Any comments?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, if you look at, I mean, this is the first sort of real, if you like, an organization that's really out there to help and to provide the support where it's actually needed. I mean, I wouldn't sort of say we don't have any structures. We have a lot of jathebandiyan and that are next to useless. I'm sorry, I'm going to be maybe a little bit offensive to many, but we do have a lot of jathebandiyan in Punjab, right? Everyone has got their own sort of ideas, agendas and so on, and they will do what they will do. My point here is at least this one is there to help where help is actually needed. So, I mean, we must never be overly pessimistic as well in just sort of thinking about it, because, you know, you must always have the spirit of Chardi Kala in the way you deal with
positive thinking,
your own life and with the community around you as well. So with that sort of spirit, you know, anything can be conquered. I should say, I shouldn't really use the word conquered here, because I'm trying to sort of get away from that. Anything can be achieved.
Sangat ji, Kolkata Trust is the biggest Sikh NGO in the world. The efforts, the initiative taken by Sant Baba Atar Singh, Sant Baba Teja Singh, a professor, Sant Baba Teja Singh, a Harvardian, a Cambridge scholar. He set up the first Sikh Gurdwara in Shepherd's Bush in London, and the first one in Stockton, America. We're looking at over 100 years ago. The founding fathers must have had some vision to manage society's future risks. By risk, I simply mean is that you need insurance when you're sinking. Punjab is sinking. You're lucky you're here. A brother can hold a brother's hand. You can get your message across to your fellow community leaders, to others, to fellow citizens of other countries and say, brother, we need some help. But you must be qualified to get that message across. And for Sant Baba Teja Singh to get the Indians the right to settle in Canada, that was universal. Muslim, Hindus, Sikhs. They were all, he fought for them all because he was studying law at Harvard. He went to Vancouver, went to the corporate sectors, did a total market research. It was not a miracle. Total market research of employers who said the productivity of an Indian was much higher than the local community. These are the sort of efforts. And then you look at Sant Baba Iqbal Singh, a high-ranking civil servant in agriculture, who had the opportunity to go and study in America. But no, he had a bigger seva, a bigger service, bigger service to do. And these are sort of mega achievements of Akal academies, which governments have not undertaken. Sangat ji will bring you our second video on the success story of young man Gurinder Singh. This is the guy at Morgan Stanley.
ਇਹ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਗੁਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਚੰਡੀਗੜ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਖਰੜ ਦਾ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ। ਇੱਕ ਸਾਧਾਰਨ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਬੱਚੇ ਦਾ ਚੌਥੀ ਜਮਾਤ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ। ਐਸਾ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਜਿਸ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇਖਣ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਉਹ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਹੈ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ 'ਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਦਾ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਨਿਤਨੇਮ ਤੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਨਵੇਂ ਅਤੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਇਆ ਲਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਇਮਤਿਹਾਨ 'ਚ ਜਿੱਤ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਸੋਚ ਰੱਖਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਗੁਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਵਾਕਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ 'ਚ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਦਿਖਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਔਰ ਸਫਲਤਾ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਸਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਸਤਕ ਝੁਕਾਉਣਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਸੇਧ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਦੇ ਅਧਿਆਪਕ ਸੀ। 12ਵੀਂ ਜਮਾਤ 'ਚ ਚੰਗੇ ਅੰਕ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਸਨੇ ਬੀਟੈਕ, ਐਮਟੈਕ ਦੀ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਵਿੱਚ IIT ਦਿੱਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ। ਫਿਰ ਬੁਲੰਦੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਿਖਰ ਦੇ ਦਾ ਪਹੁੰਚਿਆ। ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਮਾਰਗਨ ਸਟੈਨਲੀ ਨਾਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ 'ਚ IT ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਲੋੜਵੰਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸੇਧ ਜੋ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਤੋਂ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੀ ਸੀ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਅਮਲ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਖਾਲੀ ਸਮਾਂ ਨਿਚਲੇ ਤਬਕੇ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਤਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਪੁਰਜੋਰ ਯਤਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਮੇਰੇ ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਯਕੀਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਅੱਜ ਇੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਸੁਪਨਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਦੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਿਆ ਹੈ। ਅਕਾਲ ਅਕੈਡਮੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਹਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਸਾ ਬਦਲਾਵ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਦਲਾਵ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ।
Thank you, Sangat ji. Zara, this is an inspirational story. I mean, a young man again from a village transformed at a major investment bank in the world. What is your appeal to the listeners and those viewing our show today about sponsoring a child?
It's pretty mesmerizing seeing how you pay such little amount of money. It's just £1 a day, and seeing where they come from and how they end up being. So I feel it's so worth it. Especially when you get to see how, the progress that happens, and it's not much money, to be honest.
Sangat ji, this is an appeal to you from a teenager. Please get to the website, and your support and your journey with us will go a long way. Smith, you want to?
I think just to add onto that, it's not, like Zara said, it's not really a lot of money. It's £300 per kid, and obviously you can set up standing order form or whatnot with us. Please visit the website and do so. But also the fact that the Cars Cup initiative as well, it's all the youth working together to help find a proactive way of raising money rather than going down to people's doors knocking and giving them buckets give us money. We're going to actually setting up an initiative where people play football, a sport that everyone loves and
you
adores.
You enjoy yourself as well.
Yeah, and you really do enjoy it. So it's, if you really want to play football, you want to get involved, please do so. The website is now on the screen. You can have a look at that as well. Have a look at that. Go on the website, read the details. If you have any questions, please do call us or let us know. Is it okay if we play the promo video? and then we can get everyone to see.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's
So
coming.
we just see it's amazing way to get involved, youth and people older as well. Bring your kids along,
Spread
play
the word,
yourself,
really.
spread the word, and it's important that we all get involved. It's a productive way. It's a fun day out for the kids and for yourselves as well.
Absolutely.
So it's important that we all come along, and it's a ability that if anyone can come, anyone can play, register, and be part of an initiative, be part of the movement to help give someone an education, be part of the movement to help shape someone's life and make them a better person in society.
Absolutely. Gurjat Singh, we just got last few minutes. I mean, you have sponsored children, and now with this initiative, I understand you're even putting some teams together.
Yeah, I mean, my whole family is very excited. We've got two teams. We've got the Leamington Lions and the Twickenham Tigers that will be playing on the day. So we're really looking forward to it. So we will be hoping to sort of got everyone out there to make sure that they can get their sponsorship forms, so that we can get some companies and whoever we can get in touch with to actually make this a success. But just a couple of words, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, very many people in this country are very fortunate. You take education for granted. People pay sometimes £20,000 a year to educate one child for 1 year. We're asking for £300 per child per year. It's not a lot. I know everybody will be in different economic situations, but there are many families out there that can easily afford to pay this and sponsor a child. Just think about it. At the end of the day, if you go back and see where was my money well spent, I can guarantee you will say that money was well spent. Irrespective of everything else that might happen, that money will go to a good cause. So get on the phones, get onto the website, sponsor now.
Thank you, Gurjat. I think that's wonderful. Schmidt, last few words. The last
I think
30
it's just
seconds.
it's responsibility to everyone, regardless of race, culture, where you come from. In Sikhi we have this one. We give a tenth of our charity of our money to charity to a good cause, and I think you won't get a better cause than this. You're helping educate someone, helping them be independent, stand on their own feet, and shape their own lives. And I think that's probably the best investment for this one that you can give. So if you're looking to give it this one, I think it's definitely a good place to give it. It is to Bodhisahib Kalgila Trust.
Especially a child, actually.
Definitely,
Empowerment of the child, as you have said before. And as Gurjat rightly said, it is actually, when you look back, I think that is so rewarding, so fulfilling. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if you're like, at least like sponsor one child, because I feel like because these children are our future, and so spending as small as £300 per child, I feel like this.
It's interesting that one of our trustees, even before he became a trustee many years ago, he's got 3 children. Whilst they were at school, he made sure that they each sponsored a child from their pocket money. You can imagine. I mean, it's for a better cause. And Sadh Sangat ji, you will not get better cases than this. Get your grandchildren to do that. Get your family to do that. Come on board. When you go to India, do go and visit the schools. We had a young lady 2 weeks ago. She's looking forward to visiting Akal academies and sponsoring children there. Her mother went to an academy in Amritsar. It was 2 hours visit and the time just flew. She thought, wow, I can stay here. She was so inspired as far as the children were concerned. Sadh Sangat ji, it is an appeal that do visit www.educate2save and pick a child. There's girl child, there is boy child, then there's regional variation or selection that you can go to. If you want to go outside Punjab, that's also possible. So please, I think your initiative, your partnership is critical. Without you coming on board, it's not something we can do single-handed. It is a partnership between Kalgita Trust, between the youth, different generations, different communities. And look at the 95-year-old man. He says, you can even mortgage me, he says, to sponsor a child. I'm happy to be mortgaged as long as it's going to shape the future of a child. Saad Sangat ji, it's an appeal to your conscience, this appeal to your feelings. Look at your own grandchildren, look at your own children. And as Gurtyan rightly said earlier, we are blessed in this country. I mean, both, now look at Zara, I mean, her parents are from Iraq. Look at Ashmi, his parents are from Afghanistan. They can see that this country does offer opportunities. And even at this very early age, they are saying, no, I want to give somebody else also an equal chance. Saad Sangat ji, bolya chalya maaf karna. We look forward to you joining us next week. Thank you very much. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.